10 new programs within the last 4 weeks. And all of that is really to help support our businesses, help to support you. And this is just one of those 10 programs that we've created on top of our other base programs. But we hope what we're doing is making a difference, because that's exactly why we're here. We're here to make a difference for the West Des Moines community and the region at large. So I want to take a moment, introduce our incredible chamber team. They are champions. Bailey First is running the show for us today. Yes, thanks, Bailey. And she's our marketing, social media, communications expert. Kara Matheson has been with us for over 1.5 years, an incredible chamber champion. She heads up our workforce efforts. Nicole Langmaid is our operations financial expert. Yep. And then Anna Dowd is our membership director of strategic partnerships as well. So if you're interested in becoming a chamber member, definitely let us know. Let Anna know. This is what makes these programs possible. So I really, really appreciate it. Just a little technical things for the program today. Keep yourselves muted. We're going to be fast-paced today. Every one of our expert panelists will have about 7 minutes to reflect on their industry and tips and tools and ways that they think they can help impart some of that knowledge to you, give us an interesting insight as to what they're going through. Also, there's 2 different views on your upper right-hand part of your screen. There's a gallery view where you can see everybody at once, or there's a speaker view if you want to see somebody kind of up on the stage. So that's just a little tip here from the Zoom land. So I'm excited to introduce our panelists today and our sponsors. Today, as our expert panelists, we have Dr. Angela Franklin, who is president and CEO, yes, of Des Moines University. And Des Moines University is going to be moving to West Des Moines here in a couple of years, celebrating their 125th year anniversary. So we're so excited about that, Dr. Franklin. And we have Tom Hadden, city manager with the city of West Des Moines. Yep, excellent. Thank you so much, Tom. Excited about your insights. We have Vicky McKim, who is risk management and business resilience director of Aureon. Thank you, Vicky. We have Jessica Richter, who is director of BKD. Thank you, Jessica. Joe Murphy, executive director of the Iowa Business Council, representing our many strong Iowa companies around the state. Rhiannon Baker, senior associate with Fredrickson and Byron. Thank you, Rhiannon. And then our surprise panelist today is Blaire Massa. And Blaire is executive director with Ballet Des Moines, who also calls West Des Moines home. So thank you, Blaire, for that arts perspective. This is going to be great. So I'm excited now to introduce our sponsors that help to make this program possible, and the support of Aureon and Security National Bank. We really appreciate you helping to support this effort. I'd like to introduce Vicky McKim from Aureon to say a little bit about Aureon.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you to the West Des Moines Chamber for hosting this timely series. My name is Vicky, and I am the Risk Management and Business Resilience Director at Aureon. You'll be hearing from me later on the panel, but I'd like to share a little bit about Aureon for those that aren't familiar. So Aureon is a local business solutions provider serving the Midwest for over 30 years. We offer reliable business solutions so our clients can focus on their day-to-day operations. These solutions enable our clients to grow their business, communicate, gain efficiencies, and work securely anytime, anywhere. Aureon has you covered for network connectivity, voice, and data communications, managed IT, outsourced call center support, and project management solutions. But most importantly, and especially for today's topic, Aureon offers risk management and business continuity, backup and disaster recovery, consulting, and solutions. So no matter the size of your business or the disruption, Aureon ensures that your entire organization, your entire IT infrastructure is backed up, protected, and ready to be quickly redeployed if needed. As the Chamber's Business Survival Toolkit series continues, we look forward to connecting our area businesses to the experts and the tools that they need regarding during this challenging and unusual. Please visit aureon.com. I'd like to now turn it back over to Catherine.
Thank you so much, Vicky. Well, IT needs, we all need that technology support right now, more, more than ever. So thank you for everything that you're doing. I am now excited to introduce our next sponsor, Security National Bank. And Dylan Dinkla, Trust Officer with Security National Bank, is going to tell us a little bit about this new bank in town. Dylan? Okay. Well, we'll bring Dylan back on the line. He might be having some technical difficulties, so that's okay. This is what happens in this technology world we live in right now. So we'll bring Dylan back on. Security National Bank, though, is a fairly new bank in West Des Moines, so we're so happy to have them as a proud sponsor. I am excited now to move the conversation to our panelists. This is going to be an interesting insight. We're going to be taping this conversation, so you can always look back to what we're talking about today, and feel free to share it with people that you think also want to build their knowledge in what's going on. So I'm going to tee up a question that our panelists are going to answer today, and certainly elaborate, embellish, feel free to address this in any way. But it's so interesting. The West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce, we just did a survey to our members. We had about a 12% response rate. We asked them a variety of questions. One of the questions was, do you believe your business will be stronger a year from now? Which I thought was interesting. 79% of the respondents said yes. So I think that's a really positive spin, right? And isn't that great to know? But as the state starts to open up, what does the new world look like for each of our industries? What are some of the innovative ways organizations are keeping employees safe to mitigate risk? It's not business as usual anymore. So what are you doing now, and how do you predict that you might start opening up, and how do you predict the future to look like for your industry, your organization, or your art organization? So I'm so excited to hear more. So we're going to ask Dr. Franklin of Des Moines University what her thoughts are on the subject.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine, and thanks to the West Des Moines Chamber for the opportunity to participate today. I look forward to a time that we actually are relocating our campus in West Des Moines. For those who may not be as familiar with my university, I'll give just a quick synopsis of the kind of business we have. We are in the business of educating future health professionals. So Des Moines University has a 122-year history of excellence in the health sciences. We have 3 colleges, 8 degree programs. We are graduate and professional school only, so we don't have undergrads. But we have a long-standing track record of excellence in health sciences. We are meeting the healthcare needs of the state of Iowa and our graduate school all over the country being of service. So when COVID-19 happened for us, we were already, as has been mentioned, making plans for our transition to a new campus environment. And the momentum around relocating the campus was to create a health sciences university for the future. The idea was that there was a need to be more innovative in the approach to teaching and learning. Big lecture halls, classrooms, some of our facilities are wonderful where we are now, but they were dated given the emerging technologies and the delivery of care and the manners in which students learn. So big lecture halls is not the way of the future. There's a lot more interaction, a lot more small group interaction, and a lot of online instruction. So we had started transitioning our faculty and our students to a new platform as we're imagining the new campus for the future. Because we were already working in that direction, when it was time to figure out how do we now shift gears to be all off campus as the pandemic happened, because we were already thinking along those lines, my campus transitioned to an online instruction pretty quickly. Our students were shifted to not being in classrooms, but learning remotely. That transition happened pretty quickly. The challenge for us as a health sciences university is that we had to pull our students out of hospital settings, clinical settings, for safety's sake, because there wasn't enough PPE for providers let alone those trainees who are in those settings. That was our greatest challenge as we quickly shifted to this new way of operating. We've learned a lot, though, from this experience. One, our faculty now know what they can do, whereas there may have been some reluctance to go to a 100% online platform. They've learned a lot in how they deliver the curriculum. Our students are quite resilient. They have responded well to that change in the delivery of the curriculum. The problem is, how do we navigate going forward to being able to still have those experiential learning experiences that are hospital-based, clinic-based? For students to be training in a health professions environment, they've got to be able to be up close and personal and delivering that care. So that remains one of our challenges. But because we were already preparing and thinking about how we navigate to a new paradigm of being more innovative in our approach to teaching and learning, we formed teams along the way, and those teams now will continue to thrive because we have this new way of operating. There are a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of collaborative effort, and as an administrative team, because we were already working as teams, I see that as the future now, because we're going to be stronger as an organization because we work very collaboratively together to shift gears. The challenge is going to be, how do we return? And there are a lot of ideas that I'm sure we'll have today as we talk around the group about re-entry. How do we return? It was easy to get everyone off campus. How to get everybody back safely. With wellness being a core value for us, we want to make sure we do it in a way that we're cautious and very deliberate and making sure that our students and our faculty and campus community are safe as they return. So we have some ideas I can share later about how we return.
Yeah, that's so interesting. We just talked to Dr. Pastane from DMAC, and he was saying that for the fall, they are going to be primarily online, doing a little bit of lab work in small groups, but primarily taking, a lot of that online. So that clinical side of your organization and your teaching, I'm sure, was quite a puzzle. So very interesting. Thank you, Angela. I think the word innovation is going to be a big word we'll hear today for sure. So thank you so much, Dr. Franklin. We now would like to hear some insights from Tom Hadden regarding the West Des Moines and what's going on in West Des Moines, Tom.
Well, we've been open the whole time. It's just some of our public buildings haven't, but we have a city we have 15 different departments, so it's very diverse services. Public safety is, of course, number one, and what you want your citizens and your businesses to be when they live in your community is be confident that when they'll be safe. So you call 911, it starts with their dispatch and goes to, if you're calling for EMS, which is now prepared for COVID, and we're fully equipped and whatever it takes to get there, police or fire. Are all going to be there, so they've had to push the envelope because they're on the front lines and treating patients and dealing with issues like that. And with the police, when they make a stop, they don't know. I mean, you got to assume somebody has it, even if they aren't having symptoms of it. And then like I'm looking across the outside my office here at the library, they've been closed down. However, they've been doing some great things online to understanding that there's a lot of kids and children are home with their parents, and to give some reading times and offering different services that way, programs the best we can. And it goes right down on the parks. Parks we've had to cancel a lot of programs, unfortunately, and we're watching that. So we'd like to get back in that ball game, but just because the group's the size as people, but once we can, we're ready to go. We just have to make sure people are safe and doing it, but there's continued planning and moving forward, as is construction projects are going forward. If you look around the city, the Recplex down on Grand is taking shape while the buildings are up. It's a huge structure. The boathouse and amphitheater are going to be completed this year, so we have something to look forward to. Our trails have been used, as you might, those of you who live out here or live anywhere, understand that our trails and parks are receiving great use, which I'm glad we have this kind of infrastructure, because it's been a great help to people to give a break. And then so we're construction inspections going on. So we're moving forward with business as usual in one respect, but the other respect, we were hacked last December, and cyber issues big time. we came out of that. We've invested a lot more money into our systems. Thank goodness, because now we're living on that. We're finding that our administrative staff, like in many of the people in City Hall, can easily work from home, and it translates with just give them the VPN and the equipment, and they can work from home and be very productive. So that's a good thing to have, because the next time we have to maybe possibly expand City Hall, maybe City Hall is not expanded. Maybe it's just like, okay, more people are working from home and more flexible that way. So, and the other thing is we're trying to be, when we do open the doors, which is probably in a week or two, we haven't had a demand for that huge from our citizens, because we're trying to provide those services online, on the phone. Our customer service is very significant importance to our organization, so we want to do that. So that's I just sent a note to the whole city group today, just saying thanks. They're being innovative and creative, coming up with new ways to give customer service, better customer service, and in line that'll save taxpayers money, because we're able to be more efficient in some areas. So that's a great help, and we're learning a lot. And although I hope the lesson would end sooner rather than later. So that's kind of in a nutshell what's going on with us.
So you said, Tom, that what City Hall might be open in about a week? Is that kind of
either
May
26th or 1st of June. We're looking at one of those days to open up, and we'll let everybody know.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, thank you. So yeah, thank you for that insight, Tom. You're running a city, a beautiful city, West Des Moines, and it's so neat to use Raccoon River. We go almost every weekend. What a wonderful asset we have, and the Five Waters project is coming along beautifully. So yeah, so that sounds, yeah, thank God we have those outdoor spaces that have been really wonderful for us and our mental health, right, during this time. So yeah, thank you so much, Tom. Really appreciate it. So Vicky, McKim, we'd love to get your insights. Vicky is with Aureon, and really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. So Aureon's business continuity program has been in place for years, and we really build that redundancy and the resilience right into our infrastructure and our operations. So our program has put us in an excellent position to respond to this unfolding event. And I was saying a little bit earlier to those who were on early, I do threat horizon scanning regularly. And it was early December that I started monitoring the situation in China. And by early January, I really felt like we had reached the tipping point of no return. And so I immediately began pushing our teams to review plans, policies, really setting that stage for the response. And then in February, we began slowly implementing our social distancing protocols. One of those was just suspending some of our face-to-face meetings that weren't absolutely necessary. And then in March, our crisis management team began to meet daily, monitoring the situation, determining when to pull the trigger on our next steps. And our crisis communication team, they kicked in, really preparing our employees and our clients really early in that cycle. Just we knew what we were anticipating and just wanting to make sure that everybody was way ahead of that. So as we staged waves of employees moving from the office to work at home, simple things like just tracking how equipment was leaving the building, how it was approved, and all the documentation that had to be put in place. Well, that now is playing into our return to the office process. That's really helping us. So all of these efforts really have allowed us to stay ahead of the curve all along the way. And we were surprised as well. I heard somebody else was surprised at how easy it was to get people off site. So that was one of the things that we had as well, that we were surprised at the transition and just really not even skipping a beat during that transition process, and all of our operations nearly unaffected. So we use Microsoft Teams as our collaboration platform. We've used it for quite a while now, and that actually enabled us during this event to stay connected. So that tool will continue to be used in our new normal environment. A few of our employees remained at each of our facilities during the entire event, just because their operations are tied directly to those sites. So individuals that are on premise. We've closed the break rooms. We've closed our market areas. We actually assigned entry and exit doors. We have that luxury, and we even designated restrooms for use. And all of that was designed to limit that cross traffic and to make any potential contact tracing easier for us. And so as we return to our new normal, some of those protocols will continue as we look to bring more employees back into our offices. So one item that we continually monitor is that of our super social employees. And we were finding that for that group of people who are those extroverts, it was extremely difficult for them to continue working from home as the weeks began to morph into months. And so we've taken to holding social hours on Zoom and Teams just to help everyone stay connected face to face with their coworkers. And we've started this chat platform, and it's not strictly business. For the employees, we have people who are posting pictures of their favorite breakfast and their favorite coffee cup and family news. And so it's been wildly successful. And that tool will continue to be part of our new normal environment because we'll continue to have some individuals in the office and some, at least for a time, working remotely. So our sales and account management teams have really found new ways to stay connected with our clients. They continue to provide the support for the solutions our clients need. And our ability to expedite some of their critical orders, including that training for their employees, has been accomplished through our remote and our on-site service options. So depending on our clients' requirements, all of those options we plan on continuing as long as they're beneficial to our clients' operations. As Aureon's crisis management team really transitioned to recovery some time ago, and we've been looking at all of the decisions that are needed around repatriating employees to the office, and that's the primary focus. So several aspects of that I want to mention here. First is we need to identify where we're highly effective. And so all of that, functions that require special equipment or processing or large amounts of bandwidth, obviously those are still in the facility, but there's some who would benefit from that. And so those have already been identified as needing to come back in that first wave. Identifying roles that have the greatest need for building access was another aspect. So just that functional role, not just a special piece of equipment or something that had to be brought in. And then the decisions and the legal implications are something that we've wrestled with. And finding, expert advice on temperature checks and health monitoring and wearing face masks and social distancing and all of those things that go into that. So we've found the answers, but they're varied and vague, and depending on who you ask and when, it can be very different. So we're finding that we need that broad spectrum completely across the whole expert field to build that consensus that we need to base our decisions on. One other issue that came up among our peers that provide critical infrastructure for the state is the issue of supply chain management and the difficulty in finding the necessary supplies to make our office environment safe. And so we've been finding some unconventional local sources that we're using for resources, and things like hand sanitizers and masks and microbial cleaning options. So all of those, we've been able to find some local resources. Granted, a little bit unconventional, but they're still working. So that's been very good. All of these aspects that I mentioned are really developing our new normal and what it looks like, because they either place restrictions and limits on what our environment can be, and they also help us find those greater efficiencies in our daily operations. So finding that right balance between what we do to move people towards the office or leave them where they are, it's really going to take close monitoring as the pandemic evolves over time. And then one last thing I want to mention is the need that every company has to complete the policy reviews for issues you could face as you begin implementing that new normal, especially around issues that I'm hearing about and we're seeing with employees and their concerns about returning to the office environment, and is it safe? So as the pandemic impacts, they really are continuing to be very fluid, and I'm expecting that over the coming months, then that really substantiates that need for the regular review of corporate policies, just to keep up with our evolving business environment. Catherine, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Vicky. Well, the fact that you were seeing this in January, it's interesting. The business record, our economic forecast event that happened on February 14, and our expert panel, we were talking about what are some things that we might not see yet that might affect the year 2020 from an economic standpoint. Not one person mentioned COVID-19.
Wow.
So the fact that you knew about it in January, Vicky, is incredible. You had the foresight and the knowledge, and Aureon is really, really lucky to have you, because a room filled with hundreds of people, and not one person mentioned it, even in the Q&A. So very interesting. So all right, gosh, so you could be a millionaire too with stock market. You could have played some stock market.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't looking at it from a personal perspective. I was just thinking about saving Iowa, you know?
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for all those insights. It's really, really fabulous. So I think Dylan Dinkla is back with us, Security National Bank, and I think I saw him pop on. Dylan, are you with us? Do you want to say a little bit about Security National Bank, our sponsor? Oh, okay. I swore I saw him pop on, and all right. Well, if anybody sees him, send him a little note. I'll introduce him again. But well, thank you so much, Vicky. I now would like to have our perspective from Jessica Richter. Jessica, tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are.
Great. Thank you so much, Catherine. So my name is Jessica Richter. I'm with BKD CPAs and Advisors, and we're here in West Des Moines. We're actually a national firm, so a little different perspective. We're local, but also national. We have about 40 offices in 18 states and about 3,000 employees. So this has been an interesting adventure for us. The week of spring break, traditionally here in Des Moines, was the week we pivoted and went remote. And we took about 3,000 employees across the firm, and within about 3 days, we had almost everyone except basic essentials in the office were flipped to a remote situation. As an auditor, I was used to that. I travel quite a bit, go out and do financial statement audit. So that wasn't drastically different for me, and I had a lot of the tools, but a lot of our tax team, consultants, and other folks around the firm didn't have that, but our IT teams and really did a fantastic job of finding the resources. They started looking ahead. They saw this coming about a month before we did it. Had ordered equipment, supplies, because now if you try to find portable monitors and things, I'm sure some of you may have experienced, that's just hard to come by right now. So we definitely had looked ahead at some of that. So like Dr. Franklin mentioned, getting us out of the office wasn't actually that difficult. It's the whole, how are we going to go back? During this time, we've relied a lot on Skype, is what we have as our platform internally. But I tell you, I've gotten good at Teams, I've gotten good at Zoom, I've gotten good at WebEx, I've got, you name it, and I've gotten to present audited financials, to audit committees, all kinds of different things. So, but going back is really an interesting endeavor for someone like us. We're in different states, so each state has different situations right now. So we're focusing on compliance with state and local recommendations and rules, but then also looking at our employees. BKD, the focus is very much about the employee. So our focus is our employees first, clients second, profits are third. And that might seem a little out of the ordinary for a public accounting firm, but we're based out of the Midwest. We very much at our core, that's how we operate, and I see it and live it myself every day, and it's one of the reasons I'm proud to be part of the firm. But so that's really our focus. So we've actually sent out a survey to our staff and asked them, what is your comfort level for coming back? And those that are good with it, we're going to start a rotation process of bringing them in. A lot of our staff spaces are collaborative, low walls. They really loved it. Not a lot of separation between them, which is of course not what we want in our current environment of social distancing. So we're going to look at rotating staff through, giving people an opportunity to come in, but not everybody at once, gradually phasing us all back and getting back to 100%. For those that are not comfortable coming back, we're not going to make them do that. We're going to let them continue to work remotely, within obvious specific reason, but Most of our job we've proven we've been pretty efficient. I turned on a dime, an audit I was supposed to be at a client with for a week and a half. We, in less than 24 hours, turned the whole thing remote. We were all sitting in different locations. A couple of the staff even went to, they're younger, so they went back to their families and actually stayed with their parents, and we pulled the whole thing off. And so we can still do what we do, and that's one of the great lessons and silver linings, is we've learned how to be more flexible, more nimble, more adaptive to the environments. Maybe some of those that were resistant to change, because no one loves change, right? Have learned to say, hey, this isn't actually such a bad thing, and maybe we can leverage this more and help, be adaptive and flexible with everyone's family situations or personal situations. And so as a firm that always likes to focus on employees first, I think we've learned some lessons how we can be even better at that and do things that really enhance that whole work-life balance, which I say that it doesn't always exist, but it lets you prioritize when you need to, which thing comes first, because it's never all or one. And so I think that's really been our silver lining in what we've learned. And I love that a significant number of companies are saying, we look to be stronger. And I think BKD would be one of those as well. We're going to be stronger when we come out of this. We've learned how to do new things. We've been pumping out COVID data to support PPP loans and all the crazy questions that have come around that. We built a whole COVID resource center on our website, providing all that information to anyone who needs it, no charge, making sure that we can share the information that people need as they work and try to get through this situation. So, those are the ways that we've tried to move forward, and we will continue to do so.
I love that, Jessica. And your background speaks volumes. Your background is so beautiful. It's such a nice marketing statement for BKD. You guys obviously have a lot of things together there. It's stunning. So,
well, that's one of our offices. I think that's the St. Louis office.
Okay.
Lobby. So my basement is not this beautiful, but that's where I'm actually at. So
I love that. I've got a real sign here like this, this has fallen on me before. So, I love it. That's terrific. Well, thank you so much for your insights. I really, really appreciate it, Jessica. So now we'd like to hear from Joe Murphy. Joe represents so many of our largest companies around the state of Iowa. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. Thanks for having me. And it's such a great privilege to be here talking with all of you. I've learned a lot already. Got a page full of notes. So thanks for sharing your insights with me. And also just wanted to say thanks to the West Des Moines community. West Des Moines is my adopted hometown, so thanks for everything, and not only that the Chamber's doing, but certainly all of our medical providers. And Dr. Franklin, certainly you're training that next generation of health delivery workers, and so we so appreciate that, and really are thinking about our doctors and nurses and EMT workers during this troubling time. For the Iowa Business Council, for those of you who don't know, we represent 22 of the largest employers in the state of Iowa. We're a nonpartisan, not-for-profit organization, and you can think of us effectively as a mini think tank. We have 3 primary pillars of work that we execute on every single day. One of those is global thought leadership, sharing different ideas and suggestions. Another pillar would be our research. So we have a quarterly survey among our CEO members that we send out and that we publish. And then we also have a composite economic outlook dashboard, which measures Iowa's competitiveness compared to the rest of the state. And then the third leg is really our advocacy efforts, government affairs, government relations, lobbying, both here in Des Moines and in Washington, D.C. on policies that will create jobs and opportunities for Iowans, river to river, all 4 corners of the state, whatever cliche or metaphor you want to use there. And so we're really engaged right now with really trying to figure out what are those policy opportunities that currently exist within the state of Iowa, within the federal government apparatus, to get Iowans back to work, make opportunities available for Iowans, and really have come out of this recession, which we're no doubt in, even though it's not economically proven yet, come out of this recession much stronger than where we were before. I think the challenge for us and for our members, but then more broadly for Iowans, is to really try to figure out whether this economic situation that we find ourselves in is either a capital letter V, is it a big decline and then a quick ascend from an economic growth perspective, or is it more of a drawn out capital letter U, which would have a much more nuanced or slow growth recovery. And the new one that we're talking about more and more right now is, and Nike is not a member, but is it the Nike swoosh model? And does it go like a Nike swoosh symbol with a prolonged, very slow recovery, similar to what we saw coming out of the Great Recession from 2008, 2009. So that's really what we're wrestling with right now. From our members' perspective, certainly the new world of how they do business is completely flipped upside down. When we think about what our members offer their employees, certainly employee health and safety is number one. The health and safety of their customers and clients is right there as well. And so we're doing a number of different things, trying to provide PPE equipment to frontline workers, providing in some cases temperature checks on entering facilities, particularly on manufacturing lines. And we have a lot of different members. We represent all industry forums here in the state of Iowa. So we have Principal Financial Group, which is a great member. They talk about how they were able to turn around their entire workforce, 90%, 95% of their workforce, to work remotely within about 3 or 4 days' time. And that's great for financial services. Hy-Vee or Fairway, another member of ours, Pella Corporation making windows, really difficult to sell groceries and stock grocery aisles from your home or create windows, or Vermeer, for example, another great Iowa company, really difficult for Vermeer to make hay balers remotely. And so it's really a situation of trying to find that right balance. I think the governor and local governments in particular have done a really good job of providing information to businesses, trying to figure out what's the best model. This is not a one size fits all. And Iowans, I think, are being responsible, really being resilient, and really trying to figure out how best we move forward from this. And so it's really, I share the optimism that Catherine mentioned earlier. I think it's an opportunity, frankly, for a lot of our companies to figure out how to do business in this new world. And I think, difficulties mastered are opportunities won. It's sort of a different time right now than when that quote was first uttered. But I really think that that's an important lesson to take away from this. It's so easy to get down into the doldrums and be negative or pessimistic about things, but we really do have a responsibility to come out of this in a better way. As we look to the future, I think from our perspective, we're beginning to put together some policy recommendations, or at least policy ideas on what we can do to move forward in a more cohesive way. I think 2 items that really come to the forefront would really be the delivery of broadband internet. Certainly that's something that is an impact not only among the rural areas, which has recently garnered a lot of attention, but we're obviously seeing it right now for those of us who are working from home or other places. Internet speeds are down, capacity issues, load times are down. So what can we do to really accelerate the growth of that broadband connectivity? And it's really similar to, electricity in your house. No one really thinks about, oh yeah, it'd be nice to kind of have electricity in my house now. It's kind of the same thing with broadband internet. You need that high-speed connectivity just as a standard way of living, not only from a personal amenity standpoint, but that is such an important tool for businesses. When you think about the startup ecosystem in this state that's trying to thrive, that is such an important, critical tool for them as well. The second policy piece that we've been leading on and that we'll continue to lead on is the childcare situation. And I think a lot of us are dealing with that in a different way than we probably were a few months ago in childcare. And the educational delivery system in general is sort of turned on its head as well. We're optimistic that school districts will be able to accept children back into their classrooms come August. That decision will be made at a later point in time. But I also think that when, so many of us on this call that have small children, not only are you trying to do your normal 9-to-5 job, but you're also trying to be a daycare teacher, and you're also trying to be a 4th grade teacher. And that just has an extra layer of complications as a productive member of your team. And so how does that model fit in moving forward, I think is really important. One of the things that I think has been really interesting when we talk to our members on things that they're encouraging their employees to do, and we've always said this, I think, for as long as I can remember, but I think it's really encouraging that our members are really taking this to heart, and that is if you're not feeling well, don't try to be a tough person. Stay home, get better, and come back to work. To add a little bit of levity, we're all replaceable, right? That report can wait one more day, or you can sign it off to some other team member. Take care of yourself. If you're not feeling well, stay home. Take care of your mental health, take care of your physical health. And it's been so encouraging as an association executive to hear our members really leading by example in talking about that personal health perspective, that personal wellness perspective. And so I agree. I'm optimistic. I think I'll temper that optimism with the dose of reality that we'll be in this sort of world for the foreseeable future. Even if everything comes back to life in the next quarter or so, we're still going to be dealing with social distancing issues and other issues like that. And I think that's just something that we'll have to prepare for. But Iowa Business Council members are leading the way with food bank donations, charitable donations, PPE manufacturing, and we'll continue to do that as well. So really appreciate the opportunity to share some of that, and I've learned a lot. So thanks as well for sharing.
Thank you so much, Joe. Yeah, broadband internet, childcare, personal health. Yeah, absolutely. And then tell your businesses that you work with. Thank you so much for being so generous with PPE and helping and supporting in all those different ways. We all need it. And I can't believe how fast this all happened to us. I mean, it just was kind of a slap, right? Only Vicky saw this coming in January, and many of us did not. And so it really has thrown us all for a loop, thrown our economy for a loop. And we just hope our Iowa businesses stay strong and continue to stay strong during this. So thank you so much, Joe. Rhiannon, we'd love to get your perspective. Rhiannon Baker with Fredrickson and Byron, kind of the legal side of things.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. My name is Rhiannon Baker. I am a business litigation attorney in the Des Moines office of Fredrickson and Byron. We are actually a large regional firm with offices in Minnesota and North Dakota as well. We also have a couple international offices. So we actually, before any of this happened, because we are a regional firm, we were set up to do virtual meetings, to have our firm uses Zoom quite a bit already. And so it was really a seamless transition for us, for the most part, to working from home, for the attorneys in particular, because we are used to working odd hours and taking work home with us. And so that was a pretty easy transition. Some of the support staff we had to get set up remotely, which is new territory for them. But so it's been a good transition as far as that goes. And we have various practice groups, and I'm in litigation, and litigation has seen a big change in the way we do things. Instead of going to the courthouse, I'm having telephone hearings or video hearings where everybody is in their own basement or office. So that has been interesting. We also have been doing virtual mediations. We've been doing video depositions where all the attorneys and the court reporter and the witness are all on Zoom, which has presented some challenges, but we're working through it. And then, like, our employment and labor group has been really busy. As you might imagine, they've been having to field a lot of phone calls and inquiries from different businesses and clients on how they are supposed to negotiate all the new regulations, all the new policies, how to transition to remote work, and now in particular looking at how do they go about reopening, because there's a lot, from a legal perspective, there's a lot of potential areas that things could go wrong, both from an employment aspect to a tort liability aspect. We've also been fielding phone calls about insurance, business interruption insurance in particular, and different contracts, force majeure contracts the force majeure provision has become a really big hot topic that people are wanting to look at, and then privacy concerns too. So we've just been really encouraging clients and businesses to work closely with counsel to avoid any potential missteps in whether they are having to lay off people or furlough people, and now transitioning back to work, recalling people. You have to be very careful in how you do that. You need to develop concrete strategies, implement policies, like employee hygiene and disinfecting and cleaning policies. And you need to look at your sick leave policies, because, you know, what paid leave options are available have changed. Whether you need guest and visitor policies, reasonable accommodation policies for people so that you can address requests for accommodations by employees, such as whether they can continue to work remotely due to underlying health conditions. And then companies also need to start considering, you know, a COVID-19 exposure response, not if, but when you might have a case of COVID-19 in your workplace. And then also complaint procedures and policies so employees feel safe reporting safety violations or a failure to follow proper hygiene requirements in the workplace. So we've been fielding a lot of phone calls and questions with how to do that. And then also just looking at, you know, the risks of returning to work. Obviously, businesses have a large, they've suffered economic losses, and so the incentive to reopen is strong, but there are risks. And one of the biggest risks, and a business owner's greatest fear, would be that an employee or a customer gets sick at work or on the premises, and that could lead to a range of claims against the business, justified or not. But, you know, from employment claims to workers' comp filings to personal injury, there's just a whole host of legal risks that businesses need to take into consideration. And then, you know, I talked briefly on insurance. You know, business interruption insurance, a lot of businesses are finding that that is not available to them because of the policy language. And so we are looking at, we're working with clients to look at policy renewals and looking at different policies that might be available to them that would provide better coverage. And then finally, different contracts. The way we conduct our business has changed, and especially returning to social events. And so business owners, you know, need to consider whether written contracts address the consequences of a pandemic like COVID-19, negotiating new contracts or terminating existing contracts or excusing a lack of performance. It's a careful review of the exact contract language can provide different protection. So, and it's almost a daily task for us to stay on top of, you know, what has the governor been saying? What has the Iowa Department of Public Health put out? What is the Iowa Workforce Development put out? Because it's uncharted territory and it's constantly changing. But that doesn't mean that businesses can't prepare and position themselves to limit the risk as they reopen. And so focusing on the preventative measures really is kind of what we're focusing on, and so that we can avoid the myriad legal issues that could arise, so that you don't need to get involved with the litigation down the line. So an ounce of prevention really is what we're working with businesses on right now. And we are putting out, every day, we're putting out articles to businesses and clients on COVID-19 and how that impacts the workplace. So if you go to our main website, right on the front page, you'll find a link to that. It's fredlaw.com.
Fredlaw.com. Oh, what a great URL.
Yeah.
That's great. We won't forget that. That's so great, Rhiannon. Boy, what a perspective. Just think, gosh, well, we all need to have close relationships with our lawyers right now, our bankers, our CPA firms, our, all of those people that help a business tick. And you gave us such an interesting perspective. Thank you. Gosh. Oh, wow. You gave us a big list of things to do. A lot of manuals we need to start writing. Oh my heavens. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for that perspective. That was great. So we're excited to introduce our surprise panelist for today. We love to have at these events a surprise panelist because that makes it a lot of fun. Blaire Massa is Executive Director with Ballet Des Moines, here to tell us how the arts community is faring right now in Ballet Des Moines.
Hi, Catherine, and thanks for having Ballet Des Moines be a part of the conversation. We're thrilled to be part of the dynamic West Des Moines community. Not everybody might know about Ballet Des Moines, so I'll do a quick intro. We are Iowa's only professional resident ballet company, and we've been bringing world-class ballet to Iowa for a little over 13 years. And we're located in the Valley Junction neighborhood of West Des Moines. We perform a pretty broad range of repertoire, from the contemporary work, like what you can see behind me, to beloved story ballets like The Nutcracker. And we engage with nearly 500 of the local area young dancers every year for our story ballet productions from over 40 dance studios. So it's really a community effort. We also engage with 10,000 or more people every year through our performances, but also our education and outreach programs. We offer free ticket programs for local area youth and have specific productions that are just for school students during the day that they attend for free or very low cost. So we have a pretty broad reach. We just announced a really exciting season for next year with more stage productions than we've ever done before, and a lot of really exciting collaborations with local area musicians, and also some visiting choreographers from around the world, up and coming stars. And we're very excited. Of course, in the wake of the pandemic, some plans are changing, and we did have to cancel the final production of our season this year. We had The Wonderful Wizard of Oz was scheduled to take place in April, and we were forced to cancel that. Public gatherings were simply not on the cards in April, as I'm sure you all know. And we're really still hopeful that we can find a way to reschedule that performance. But in the meantime, we are looking at this as an opportunity to magnify our strengths and to underscore what it is that we do and our mission. So we're taking it as an opportunity to really innovate and find new ways to share our art form with the audience. It's obviously a traditionally live experience. But for us, this means essentially that we're coming up with creative ways to create and perform our work virtually. The pivot has meant learning some new skills for all of us, but the silver lining's been a tremendous surge of energy from our community that we've felt both internally and externally. Specifically, our dancers have just been phenomenal through this. They've shown incredible resilience in the face of a ton of uncertainty around what they do. And they've really been helping us to think outside of the box on how we can connect even when we're all social distancing. So they're really an inspiration. And this morning I participated in a consortium of ballet companies from around the world. And everyone was talking about how they're navigating the reopening and social distancing guidelines around health and safety and performing venues. So that was very interesting, and we're really watching how some of the countries and cities who are ahead of us on this curve are responding. There's still definitely a lot of unknowns in our field, so there's a little bit of wait and see happening. And things are undoubtedly going to look different for a while. But we're thinking about how to keep everybody safe, our artists and our staff and our audiences, particularly as we slowly work our way back towards live performances. And in the meantime, we're really spending the majority of our energy and time looking at how to continue doing what we do in a virtual landscape. So creating, rehearsing, performing, and sharing ballet in a virtual way. And a lot of that is beautiful recorded performances that we can share online. We're also getting creative with dancer and choreographer interviews, diving a little deeper into the stories and inspiration behind some of the art. Ideas have come up around live streamed ballet classes from our artists. Lots of different ways to engage with us that maybe we wouldn't have had the opportunity to think about in a different world. One of the best parts about the last few weeks and months has been the renewed energy around local partnerships. We had already been moving in the direction of beefing that up, but there has been time and space for that to really take to the forefront. And so some of you may have seen a couple of Ballet Des Moines dancers perform at the Noche Jazz Club a few weeks ago in a socially distant way, but it was a fun partnership, and it allowed us to quote unquote perform, which the dancers very much enjoyed. And we're planning more collaborations like that, and working with some of the local musicians from the symphony and the Bellin Quartet and a couple of other ideas. So that has been a really exciting part of how we're pivoting in this moment. We're also working on ways to reach the students and the young constituents that we had been working with in the past in new and different ways. I just was on a call this morning with the director of the Civic Music Association talking about creating a program that will be either streamed live or recorded and sent to public school students around the area, so they can interact with both dancers and live musicians, possibly including Q&A moments. So very interactive and enriching if and when live performances are not able to be part of their curriculum as they have been in the past. These conversations are just a wonderful example of how we've seen the community band together and really strengthen, where I'm saying it a lot and I'm hearing others say that a rising tide lifts all boats. And so I think the arts community are really banding together in a way that is unprecedented and inspiring. I don't want to, I have a little note to myself not to gloss over the tremendous impact that this has had on the arts community, especially for performing arts companies. We're all looking at a very substantial loss of income, and we are going to be relying on our community to help support us through these times. On the call this morning with international companies, it was a stark comparison to European and non-US companies, dance companies that get 60 to 70% of their funding from their governments. So we don't have that backbone to fall on. So that is one of the realities of the future that all dance and arts organizations are looking at. But I'm really encouraged by the just positivity and energy and commitment from our community. I'm pretty new in Des Moines, but the city has some magic around it, and the community networking opportunities and just the support is really incredible. So we're confident that we're going to be able to continue sharing our art and bringing some inspirational and beautiful dance to our audience, and hopefully some hope and connection even in these challenging times. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can emerge stronger, like you said, Catherine.
Well, thank you so much, Blair, and welcome to the Greater Des Moines area. We're so impressed by you as a new leader in our arts community, and Ballet Des Moines is doing some amazing things. So love the creativity, and we love to support Ballet Des Moines and our entire arts community. So thank you for sharing what you're up to lately, Blair. We really, really appreciate it very much. Well, that wraps up our event for today. And I love to see, Nick's. Looks like your daughter was online, Nick. That's really cool. Love that. So this is so fun because we get to see people, you know, in their home environments and kind of being real. You know, it's seeing people in their houses and things like that. So, you know, it's 3:59. I swore I would end on time, and it doesn't look like we have a lot of questions right now. You've answered all the questions. Just really want to thank again Dr. Franklin, Tom Hadden, Vicky McKim, Jessica Richter, Joe Murphy, Rhiannon Baker, and our surprise panelist Blaire Massa for being here today, and our wonderful sponsors, Aureon and Security National Bank. Without you helping to support these programs, they wouldn't be possible. Make sure you go to our website at wdmchamber.org, and you can see our COVID resource pages, easy for me to say, and sign up for our email newsletters, and a great way to plug into the West Des Moines community and the community at large. So on behalf of the West Des Moines Chamber stellar team and the West Des Moines community, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And everybody take care. We're West Des Moines strong, and happy hand washing.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.